Here at the Fosroc facility in Padstow today, ready for our monthly AIW New South Wales event. The guys are going to be showing us a little bit about concrete repair using their product range, so looking forward to it, and let's get inside.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for attending. Another good attendance tonight. We were so popular, the event, we actually had to put the closed up sign for people, so unfortunately not everyone could attend, but it's good to see your attendance here. Thank you very much for supporting AIW. Thank you to Fosroc to start off with in terms of undertaking tonight's monthly meeting, hosting us. It's going to be an interesting evening, I'm sure. There's lots to learn about in terms of concrete repair work, and that goes hand in hand with waterproofing, as we all know. Just a quick introduction. We've got Colin, Tom, Aaron. A quick background. So Colin is a specification manager, Australia, New Zealand. He's been with Fosroc for 4 years, as I understand, 4.5 years at Parkham, so a lot of experience there. Tom is a specification manager in New South Wales ACT. He's been here for 7 years, second stint, and then 4.5 years at Parkham before. And then we've got Aaron, who's been around for about 20 years, as I understand.
Part of the furniture.
Started off sweeping the floors and worked his way up.
So he's still being in the bins. We were yesterday.
So Aaron's our national commercial manager. So obviously the company's gone through some name changes and has experience in painting work as well as waterproofing across the team. I think amongst all your years, I kind of worked out there's about 40 years of experience in waterproofing of some sort related to Fosroc and Dulux and the brands. So a lot of experience here. Today's session will be a bit of a PowerPoint presentation for a little while. Then we'll break up into groups. I'll take us around the back and we'll have some practical hands-on sessions and we'll split up into 3 equal groups. And then guys will be hosting some food for us later on, so we'll come back here and meet and just a bit of a social get-together and a bit of discussion at the end. David will fill us in with any updates from AIW from a national perspective. So that's enough for me. I'll hand over to you guys. Thanks very much.
As George said, Fosroc is in Australia, New Zealand is a part of the Dulux group. So we do a lot more. Well, we have sister businesses that do coatings, decorative paint, protective coatings, render texture, etc. And Fosroc is also made up of other brands, especially other waterproofing brands such as Hydrotype, Vandex, Emma, and then Vector and Eden Fruit as well. So just a bit of an overview. We have gone through a lot of changes over our years, and some people have been here and seen a lot of them. So, okay. So when me and Tom first offered to do this in tonight, we said what we were going to do, and Fosroc is essentially known for concrete repair, and we thought we might do something different to waterproofing, so we do repair. I think Mappe took our compatibility one, so that's still good. It's good. First in, best dressed. So look, concrete repair, we get asked a lot around fixing concrete on a daily basis, and a lot of it's prior to waterproofing taking place. A lot of it now is also structural repair as well. Obviously with the work that the Building Commission is doing in New South Wales, there's a lot more emphasis on making sure the concrete's right. So just a few examples of what we sort of see. And obviously the preparation, and this is Colin's, I've stolen that, that's Colin's phrase, by the way. So obviously preparation is important to waterproofing. And if we get it wrong, the likelihood is that the system will fail. So a bit on concrete spalling. So we see a lot of this in remedial applications. This is actually, if you can see this one here, there's a planter box sitting above that, and this is all broken out, and you can see here rust stains coming down through the crack, which is probably a good indicator you've got some concrete corrosion occurring. That planter box leaks like a sieve quietly, and you can see here that's another lower elevation of another planter box, and some concrete spalling repair. So in remedial applications, it does tie in a lot with waterproofing, concrete spalling, and we need to remediate it. Also, things happen on site, so defects. You can see here voids, rubbish in the concrete. This is my house. That's the concrete swimming pool, honeycombing, blowholes, poorly compacted concrete. Formwork pushed into the planter box, so now you've got a sort of a gutter around the outside of the planter box, and again more voids. So we see a lot of this And what we're going to talk about tonight is around remediating this. Okay. So repair mortars. So to remediate concrete, we do recommend using a repair mortar, and there are different types of repair mortars. And we're going to talk around the different types, and I've tried to keep it at a pretty high level. This is a hand-applied repair mortar, but essentially the repair mortar should match the hose strength of the concrete. It should protect from chlorides, so salts and CO2, carbon dioxide. It should be shrinkage compensated. And it should be easy to use, easy to install to remediate the concrete. So here's an example of probably what not to do. So you can see here you got some rusted out steel, concrete, and it has been patched, but it's been patched with something probably like a standard concrete mix, something like that. But there's a lot of things wrong here. The steel hasn't been fully exposed to remove all the corrosion. There's no saw cut of the perimeter to recess in the repair. And obviously we haven't used a specialized concrete repair mortar to remediate that. And that will just keep on blowing out and being an ongoing issue until it's done correctly. So just on the different types of repair mortars. So you'll see a lot of hand applied repair mortars. So we use these for pocket repairs, and we're going to demonstrate that tonight up the back. This is a balcony slab edge repair. You can see it's been knocked out, opened up, all the steel fully exposed and treated, saw cut, and that's sort of once it's finished, it's reinstated as concrete. Now these materials are lighter weight, medium weight. They're shrinkage compensated. So as cementitious materials, as they cure, there is shrinkage. These are what we call shrinkage compensated. It's not non-shrink because there is a small amount of shrinkage, but it's very minimal. And these are designed for overhead, vertical repairs, non-trafficable. Form and pour. So these are some instances where you've got some ledges. This could be a balcony reinstatement where you've got spalling, but larger volume repairs where a hand-applied repair mortar won't do it or is inefficient. These are designed for large reinstatement of concrete. We're going to show you this tonight as well, form and pour. Basically, very easy to do. Once you set up the formwork, it's mix and pour, and they're quite really good products to use for large reinstatements. We also do trafficable repairs as well. So there are different. So when you're doing a substrate that's going to be driven on, it's going to have some sort of traffic, we do need to use a traffic repair mortar. So again, these can come in fast setting repairs. There's a variety of different options. But a lot of times for trafficable areas, we find that people want fast return to service. We also do recommend these fast setting repair mortars for the construction of concrete hobs. So this is a hob up in Queensland on the Gold Coast. So you can see quite a large hob as actual fact. But this was all done with a trafficable repair mortar that's fast setting, so they could drop the form in under 2 hours. I have tried to keep it generic, but I will pull out one product. So Renderock STO6 is what we call a structural fairing coat. This is a really good option, especially in new construction where we've got some low concrete cover. 1 mil of STO6 is equivalent to 6 mil of 40 MPa concrete. So where you want to build up cover, where you want to build up smaller, sort of 0.5 mil to 5 mil deep, this is the sort of product. So small imperfections, but also with that low concrete cover, it does give you that reinstatement without having to build out a larger area to give you the equivalent concrete cover. It's actually a high polymer material, so it's actually waterproof in its own right as well. So not that we say that, but just put it out there.
You just did.
Just did. Technical ring me tomorrow and tell me. So that's a bit on repair mortars. Crack repairs. Now we're going to go into a few different options for crack repairs, and that's Colin's going to run that station. Now, when we talk about crack repairs, we talk about surface repair and also injection. Now, to do injection, you need to actually be able to have a depth of crack that enables injection. If they're just surface cracks, then it's a surface repair. Or sometimes a surface repair is adequate. You don't actually need to inject all the way through. All depends on the scenario. You can see here that the crack's being chased out to open up to allow for the crack to be repaired. And you've got a few different options. So, we've got low viscosity epoxy grouts that can get injected, sort of just surface injected along. Here you've got like a sort of a syringe model, but you can use a sort of old source bottle as well, people will use. You can see in here is sort of just a flexible sort of polyurethane sealant. Here's an epoxy paste or filler. It's been overfilled and you would grind that back. And then just a sort of scratch coat epoxy filler again. It's just been troweled flush. So those are sort of options for surface crack repair.
Which would generally be shrinkage cracks, right? So not moving.
Well, it depends. You've got to think anything with an epoxy in it. Yeah. If the crack's going to be moving, the epoxy is going to crack again because they're rigid. So something a bit more flexible is ideal. So a sealant may be better for those sort of cracks that aren't static, that are more dynamic. Right. Injection. So injection, you can see all these flanges or packers being installed, and you can inject with epoxy resin. And normally the epoxy is low viscosity, so essentially it can penetrate all the way through in a very small crack and give you a complete seal all the way through. So you can see here they're injecting all the way through the wall there. You can see the packers, and once you're done, you can see where it's been sort of filled, and that all gets knocked back and ground flush. So we'll show you that too as well today. The only thing with this is, as long as there's no water in the crack, so this is for dry repairs. We'll get to the water leaking cracks in a minute. And then just a bit more on this, so you can see there's a car park deck. It's all been fully injected. And then that would go all the way through, so underneath would be sealed as well. So you sort of got an epoxy resin going right through the suspended slab. So, running water leaks. So when you've got water coming out of a crack, we have to inject it, and normally we inject that with a PU hydrophilic material. You can see here that's sort of swelling up through the crack to seal the crack. We do have a rig set up at the back to show you how the packers go in, and we're going to use the rig, not with PU though. Tonight we're just going to use coloured water. It's just a little bit safer than having a hydrophilic PU kicking around. But we'll walk you through that. But I guess essentially when you've got a running leak crack, a PU injection is the way to go. And lastly, Colin's favourite, Vandex plug. So Tom's going to actually show you how to do we're going to do some plug up the back. But essentially running water leaks where we're using a plug that uses crystal growth to seal the running water leak, and then it gets cut back flush with a concrete. So again, that's another option. Okay. Any questions before we all jump in? We're all good? Okay. So I'm going to run the concrete repair module. Colin's going to do the crack repair, and Tom's going to do the running water leaks. So what we need to do is just split into groups of 3.
Probably around 10 per group. Yeah. So
I think we grew since I started.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
About 30. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, do you want to get everyone head up the back, and then we'll just do it by
I'll go first. Okay, so if 10 people want to come with me, and we'll start on the concrete repair.
Concrete repair?
Don't all go with you.
So I'm just making my way out to join up with the groups here. They've got 3 different stations showing off crack repair, crack injection, repair mortar, and they're rotating between them. So let's have a look at each one. Okay, so we've got some live demos going on here with various things. I'm not sure what this one's about, but then if we head over this way.
Cementitious materials, and especially these ones, have a very low water addition. So the concrete substrate needs to be thoroughly pre-soaked or saturated with clean water prior to the installation of the repair mortar. So if we were to install this to a dry concrete substrate, what would happen is all the moisture would be sucked through the repair mortar and you get cracking, okay? So a thorough pre-soaked surface. Now, depending if you've got exposed steel, you would treat that with a zinc primer to remove all corrosion and treat it with a zinc-rich primer. If there is no exposed steel, it's pretty easy. It's essentially saturation of substrate, and then we'd use a bonding agent. Okay, so both scenarios we'd use a bonding agent, and that enables greater bond strength for the repair mortar to the repair area. And then once we're finished with the repair, we would finish it with a curing compound to ensure that it doesn't dry out too quick, especially with windy conditions. If the concrete repair does dry out too quick, you can get some cracking as well, like that. Okay. All right. So that one. You don't want that to fall on you. So, all right. So, anytime, look, all manufacturers will have a water ratio on the front of the bag. So with us, we're saying, okay, we want 3 litres of water to 3.2 litres. So there's always a low point and a high point. Ours is quite small, like 200 mil. I have seen other suppliers where it's about 400 mil. So it does vary from supplier to supplier, from product to product. So always, look, I've done heaps of this training, and I always double check the water, because one time I did it and I mixed it up, and just adding in a little bit of extra water makes these materials want to slump, they want to fall out. So it's very important to get that right. The other thing with these repair mortars, we do need a paddle mixer. Okay, a cordless drill setup does not have the guts to mix this sort of material. So we do need something that has a high torque, and we do mix at a low speed. Okay. You am I mixing? No. I'll take it. It's all right.
Yeah, fair down.
I've got to look at a few different variants. This is sort of like an original variant. The other one we've got now, like the high build materials, have a longer working time to them. But some people prefer something that's going to set off quicker. Okay, but you can see the sort of workability of the material. And normally, like when I look at it, I want to see like a sheen on the outside of the repair mortar. I don't want it being crumbly and dry. Now, if once I mixed it, it was a bit dry and I need to adjust it, I could adjust a bit more water and haven't put all the water in yet, and then mix it for another minute. So, like I said, a lot of people, they find it hard to mix, and then they want to put more water in, and then what ends up happening, the material just starts to slump, and you're trying to build up a high build repair mortar in a vertical surface, just wants to fall out on you. Okay, put that on your bonding agent, and then start to build out that repair. Because once you get a thin layer embedded into your concrete, then you've got that bond, and then you can build it up from there. And then when you start to build it up, if you've got fully exposed steel, you need to make sure that the steel is fully encased. You don't want any hollows, any air pockets, because that's just going to be an avenue for contaminants or water to track through. You know, to get into the repair. All right.
Can you down maximum 40 mil?
Yeah, so this repair mortar only got 40 mil. We do have another one that does up to 100 mil in one go. So different products. The other one's more fibre reinforced, so a bit lighter weight. And it's I prefer that one, to be honest with you. But everyone still likes this one. I'll show you this one. This one fit like a lot of people like this one because it finishes a bit better. The other one's got a bit more polymer in it, so it's stickier. But all you got to do is I'll show you how to finish that off in a sec to enable finishing it easier. Okay. Now with the repair mortar, you're going to have wastage, and the idea is that, and I know it sounds logical, but start at the bottom, work your way up as a vertical repair. If it was an overhead repair, you could use like some form, like you could have a bit of form underneath it, and then have half the repair exposed, and then a form underneath to help support it. And that way it just takes the weight off. Because if you're doing an overhead repair and it wants to drop on you, then you pretty much got to start again. So you really want to make sure you get that bond to begin with. And
You don't use a primer prior?
yeah, we would have. I'm just for tonight. But you would have used a bonding agent, which is this. No. Yeah. Yeah, just get a little container. I'll pull this out. With your repair, you want to build it out past the outside edge.
You're saying the best just on this by hand, not a
Trowel? Nah. Well, look, some people want to use a trowel. I just find with your hand, you get it in, you're working it around. You're going to finish it with a trowel, but these are called, and look, we've had jobs where engineers have said, no, I want you to put it on with a trowel. Look, we call these hand applied repair mortars. So if that's with a trowel or a hand, it doesn't really matter. I prefer that I know with at least with a hand, I know I'm getting it in and around and fully compacted. And if you wanted to build this up in layers, you could. So say you wanted to do, a deeper type of repair, you could do half the depth first, let it set up, come back, the same process applies, pre-soak it first, bonding agent, new repair mortar goes on. So you can do it in passes. Essentially, when you start to get the deeper, bigger repairs, you've got other options anyway with form and pour and that, which we'll do in a sec. Pretty much in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you've got four sunk in, mate. I watch on do it. Should buy it. Yeah.
Hey?
Well, you got
5 and Z, go down.
yeah, that's to the rest of the time. It sounds like pushing it down. It sounds like
Plus one.
I'm looking at that size. Makes sense.
No, that's not a good thing. So it's your order, it's nice to see that. Why don't I?
So you can see that's like just sitting up on floor ply, but it's actually holding. And so you imagine if it's got a bonding agent direct to concrete, once it starts to grab, you can build up on it quite easily.
What if you don't repair underwater?
Huh?
Now you want it to set up enough that when you cut it back, you're not dragging it back out. Always try to cut to the outside edge, so you're pushing the repair mortar sort of back into itself. You're not sort of dragging it away, and you're just basically slicing that back. And once you sort of cut it back flush, you can finish it. So normally, sort of water on the trowel, not on the repair, but on the trowel, and then that just helps you to finish it off a lot easier. Or if you wanted to, you could tape over with builder's plastic to secure it that way. And then if you wanted to come back and skim it with a berry pad or something like that, get a higher level of finish, you could. But it all depends on what you're doing, basically. But that's pretty much a sort of easy repair mortar. Now, Bo asked about underwater. When you do underwater, the difference is using epoxy bonding agent. There's no pre-soak, there's no acrylic bonding agent, it's an epoxy bonding agent with this repair mortar. Everything else is the same, saw cut, break out, fully exposed, but it is a bit different for underwater. We use an epoxy bonding agent. So for you guys, it'll be swimming pools mainly. But all right, okay. Look, and the other thing is when you are pouring this, you don't want to just pour it right from the top, let it splatter in because of us. So you want to try and pour to the bottom and let it flow through, and then you want to try and maintain that flow rate if you can. So pour it and try and do a sort of continuous pour. I use this at my place to fill in some brick piers with a funnel and a 40mm tube. It works very well. Oh, we know that. You know what? It's got a slope on it, that's why. Should level it up first. So you can see that's self-compacting, so you got any steel in there, that just works its way all the way around. And you can see the aggregates in there, it's quite fine aggregate. Okay. Yeah, because it's not level.
When you're talking about the cracking over certain lengths, distance.
Yeah, unless like we
One of those things was
using a sealant to fix a crack or to seal a crack. And this is, he actually mentioned polyurethane, and that's perfectly valid. You can use polyurethane. Polyurethane is slow to cure and can be relatively soft. We're seeing an increase in use of a polyurea sealant. So it's a 2-part sealant, not a 1-part sealant. This material in this type of crack, in fact, in this size of crack, but equally in something like, I don't know, 20 by 10 or something of that nature, we use this material and it cures in 1 hour, or give or take 1 hour. So it's essentially a self-leveling, so you wouldn't be doing it on a vertical surface because it would just pour out. But in here, we can just go. This one's been out for 20 minutes or 25 minutes. You can see pretty easily drops into the crack. And what we do here is we overfill because we're not joint sealants, we're not caulking experts. So what that means is you're going to get and feel free to have a go. If anyone wants to go, have a go. But please make sure you put full gloves on. But what this, so in an hour's time, or give or take, so this one I did at 4:30. Sorry. You'll see we could just shave the top off. We'll shave it off, and then we can come over here with a flooring coating of that nature. This is this is now ready to go. It's got a shore hardness of 85, roughly speaking 85 shore A. What we're seeing is an increase in use of this type of technology in things like Woolworths distributor centres, Coles, Dan Murphy's, all those guys, because with the hardness of the sealant, it's going to take the knocks of the small wheels on the forklifts, etc. The other thing for us is that there are other ones of this type of technology on the market, but they're not colour stable. They're UV stable. They perform well, okay. This is colour stable, so you can use it inside and out by the shutter doors, etc. It's not going to discolour and go green or yellow. It's ideal for that type of application. One thing you just never do is let that sit facing that way because it runs out.
So, question, Colin.
Yes.
How long do you have in the nozzle before that
You've probably got half an hour.
Half an hour.
Probably not even that, 20 minutes. And if it's a bit colder, it's not so bad, but it is chemically curing. So yeah, it's going to start to. It'll probably start to go pretty soon. Just trying to think what else I can tell you about this material. It's
What happens to that?
sorry.
What happens with that?
Well, you're gonna come along and coat that already.
Oh,
So in terms of crack repairs, this is getting ready for another coating. If it's a joint sealant, you'd mask that off, so you wouldn't have any overrun.
So it's not a final thing.
No, that's not a final finish. Only if you were using it as a joint sealant itself, like one of these joints across here. It's low. Very low movement joint at the moment. We've got it in our TDS at plus or minus 5%. It's actually on its way to America to be tested for a more accurate reading, if you like. So it might go up to, could be plus or minus 10. We're just not really sure. I mean, this is the cured entity, so it actually does have some flexibility, but it's really quite tough. Don't chew it. Architects can sniff it, so I don't see if there's any architects in the room. No one's going to sniff. The other technology we looked at during the presentation is an epoxy 2-part material, 2-to-1 ratio or mix, and this helps seal cracks, and I did seal some in there underneath. So. Very simple technology, been around for a long time, and we just literally infill the cracks, and that's going to go. We talk about plus or minus 5% movement. This is a epoxy, so there's no movement involved. And what we're doing there, we could be filling in holes in concrete. We could be in a reservoir. This has got Australian standard 4020 certification, so it can be used in drinking water. But equally, We use it with things. It's already been said once. We have a material called Expaband. There are other materials available for strapping or bandaging joints, and we use this material to bed down either side of the joint. So when there's movement occurring underneath the bandage, that epoxy bonds to the substrate, it provides a very good solution. We're not going upstairs, but there's photos upstairs if you do head up there at any time. Some large reservoir jobs in Canberra. We've got 4,000 linear meters of bandage covering all these joints, and that's all bedded in with this material. Aaron also talked about repairing cracks with a low viscosity epoxy material. Important always to prep the crack before you carry out your injection. So we showed a photo of it being V'd out, and then you can see here we put a donut essentially of epoxy on there, squish it in. This has all been done like that. That was carried out there. This is now going to be locking in any material that's being injected. So this rig here is just really, so if you have a look at the back. Sorry. So that is essentially that, but in a vertical plane. So we're going to see if there's any leaks any cracks in this concrete, and we're going to push an epoxy material into the crack. Because it's low viscosity, it's going to find its way into the crack and obviously cure and set in that crack as well. That's a very messy business, by the way. So in other words, we don't want to do that here today. So we've actually got different coloured water in the cartridge. This is a 2-to-1 cartridge. So all we're going to be doing is pumping water into this crack. So hopefully, you'll be able to see water making its way up through this crack in the middle of the joint. So I'm going to connect. And I was going to connect. You in? Perfect. So I'm going to. So you might want to get a bit closer. You might be able to see the water. So this is going through a static mixer. So the epoxy is mixing in the nozzle. And I can see some water at the back here. Is it? It's rising. It's rising. Yeah, it's rising.
What's the viscosity of the product first of
Oh,
all?
top of my head, I can't.
Is it not thicker or is
It's
it
about
about
one
It's about the same. Okay.
It's gone right up.
I think the is one.
Gone up.
Gone right up. After
Okay.
it's up to here.
Okay.
So that's the same.
Yeah.
Already up to there, so that must have.
Right.
We must have locked.
Yeah, we've locked that one up. So that's as easy. I mean, obviously this is water, so there's a little bit of difference in the viscosity, but it's a very user-friendly material, and it's got to get in and to start curing in those cracks. So it's a very simple system. I'm really don't have too much else to say about Nitafil LV. Just for your information, this is made in Wyong. Mortar AP is also made in Wyong, and the PY350 is made in Sydney. So everything you see here is relatively local, except for Wyong, which is.
So we've got our crack repair and repair mortar or injection groups over here. This is where we did a bit of a water plug mortar, stopping a bit of hydrostatic pressure. Fill this up with water. It's worked quite well. And we've got a bit of a demo injection rig.
For the crack repair. How's that? Yeah. All right, great. All right, so we're gonna have a look at two different areas where we're going to be sealing running water leaks. The first, we'll look at the isolated water leak using a rapid rapid cement based waterproofing product. In our range, it's called Vandex Plug, and then we'll do a real life example of that with stopping some running water, and then we'll look at crack injection using. We've just got water for today to showcase it, but generally you'd be either using like a hydrophilic polyurethane, or there's hydrophobic. There's a few different products out there in the market, and basically we'll just run through how you can install the packers, and then how the applicator would go about then, sealing up the crack. So yeah, if you have any questions throughout, just let me know. And yeah, we'll get into the Vandex now. Yeah. And the way you can do it. So the Vandex Plug, it's a cementitious powder that you mix with water, and that causes a chemical reaction for the material to start going off very quick. Once you mix it up in your hand, you'll mix it into a ball of Play-Doh. You'll feel it start to harden in your hand. It'll start to get hot. At that point, you just want to push it into the location of the leak. You probably need to hold it there for 30 seconds to a minute, maybe a bit longer, and in that time it'll start to go off and seal up that leak. So we'll just go through this now. Did you break that one out?
Yeah. Stitched up last time, mate.
Yeah. It's fine. So per the data sheet, the Vandex, the proper mix ratio is about 125 ml of water to 500 grams. When you're down in a basement or a pit, you're probably not you're just mixing it by hand. So look, all I say is, that's probably 30 or 40 ml of water, and you probably just need to now grab a handful or 2 handfuls of the plug. You mix it around. Once you feel it, like a Play-Doh consistency, that's when you've got it right. So go ahead and start mixing this. Yep.
We're gonna plug up a light. Shit, that's a decent amount of water.
Oh, you only see that on TikTok. Oh my god.
Oh, you mean the Flex Seal tape? Yeah. So that was a little bit of a runny mix, but it did start to go off eventually. So I probably had this on here about 20 seconds. I can feel it getting pretty warm in my hand now.
How do you know when to let go?
Just stay there as long as you know.
Look, probably after a minute, I reckon. Yeah, if you've done it right, you feel it heating up in your hands. You can't see any leaking water. It's probably okay. So you can take that off now, and so that's plugged it up.
If you have a services pipe like a PVC,
very nice.
or even copper pipe, and you've got that leak around, would it work just as well? Do you need to adhere it to the PVC itself?
I know. Do you mean is it leaking? So you can feel it. It's pretty warm to touch. Yeah. So it's still going through its reaction, but we'll knock it off now because we'll get someone else to have a crack. Where's the other? Oh yeah.
Is there any test done on the maximum water table?
The maximum head of water pressure. Yeah. Can you check the data sheet? Yeah.
You want a jack come on?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Did you get another bucket? Yeah. All right. So, who would like to have a crack? Probably got time for one person to give it a go.
That better than water plug?
Well,
That's better.
it depends. I mean, as I said, they're all probably fairly similar. I mean, some will have better test data than others, and I mean, the Vandex plug is potable water approved, so you can use that in like drinking water tanks, and
rocky shit in there first?
Probably for the last one.
Yeah.
It won't matter. Yeah, you just want to have it like Play-Doh, and then
I'm going to do this rocky stuff.
that's fine. Put some more powder in. You need. So you probably you'll feel it heating up in your hands, probably around now. And once you feel that heat on the back of your palm, I reckon you probably want to hold it for minimum 30 seconds up till a minute.
We'll see you later.
Yeah. In the hopper, and then you'll inject that into the packers. So the packers run through these, basically just a metal, I guess, straw that you. I think this is a 10 mil, so you'll drill a 10 mil hole intersecting the crack at 45 degrees. If it's 200 mil concrete slab, you don't want to drill all the way through the concrete, so you'd probably want to drill probably about 100 to 150 in. So you want to intersect the crack, but you don't want to go all the way through the slab, because then you're just going to lose your material. So you put you'll drill your hole, knock your packer in, and then you tighten it, and that rubber will be in compression, which will hold the packer in place while you inject it. You basically install the packers in a stitch pattern. Look, some manufacturers will have different guidelines. Just check the TDS, but I think with P150 we say between 100 to 150. So you commonly see something like that, maybe for different products from different manufacturers, who they'll recommend something different. So the PU150, so this is a polyurethane hydrophilic grout. When it reacts with water, it'll swell up and probably to about 30 or 40 times its volume, and that's how it seals the grout. So that's just like a sponge now. And pass that now. And basically to inject. So this is basically just a pressurized drill, which is and we're just going to be injecting green dye in. And you just attach onto the packer with the head normal. Okay, so that's sort of done. Alright. I guess.
This is hydrophilic or
we've just got water in here for the experiment, but
just water, okay.
Probably the most common one, which I showed before, is not a fill PU150, so that's hydrophilic. Just a bit temperamental to use with so many people in a short close proximity, but there's a few different products on the market. There's hydrophilics, there's hydrophobics. Hydrophilics is probably the go-to for most, and so we'll. And then just see the rotation. Everyone's going to do different ways, so you can do it, and then just start. So if you were doing this using the hydrophilic grout, you would start to see it. Start to see the reaction through the crack.
Okay.
Yeah, and probably up through the
Not sure what that is.
around near the packers as well. And but obviously since we're using water, I mean it's just to try and give you a bit of a visual.
So would you inject it until it bleeds to the next one, for instance, or until you see it come out, or is it a certain pressure that you need to achieve?
You probably feel the pressure from pushing back on where you're trying to inject. You'll also see that the reaction is happening up through the crack towards the next packer, and that the water in that location isn't is probably more printouts coming through other parts. So you would move to the next packer, you know, inject up to there, and so forth. So
And these are one way. Yeah, it's like a grease thing in the end.
pretty much, yeah. So
Good turnout.
Oh, down the bottom you can get nice and moderate.
Post-demo networking. Gonna go and grab something to eat very shortly.
who's the other customer, the head of waterproof with the Vandex plug. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, that's one thing for a couple.
Another awesome event here for the AIW in New South Wales. Thanks to Fosroc for hosting. It was really cool, set the bar really high for everyone else. So, yeah.